Hello everyone, it's Dawn and welcome back to my channel. Well, for our Tuesday project, we are going to do a project with a napkin. Now this isn't a sponsored video, it's just that some people like to know where napkins come from when they're being used on videos. And this particular one came from my local Sainsbury's, but as I say, this is not a sponsored video. Sainsbury's don't even know that I'm doing it. But you can use any napkin you like. You don't have to use this particular one to do a napkin project. In fact, you could use a Christmas one if you want to. I've still got Christmas napkins that I've got left over from last year. And so perhaps the next time I do a napkin project, it'll be a Christmas one. But for now, I'm going to use this one simply because I like the pattern. It is so pretty. And to me, it looks a bit vintagey. And I found a sentiment with a vintage style background, but we'll get to that later on. So we're going to make a 6x6 card. Now what I've already done a little bit of prep work or preparation work, sorry. Must use the proper words because some people say they don't understand the abbreviations. So what I've done is I've cut this down. As you probably know, napkins come folded in 4. So when you open them out, like this one, when you open them out, you've got like a cross, something that looks like a cross down the middle where it's been folded. So what I've done is I've unfolded it, and all I've really done is cut one of the corners out, so one of the squares out. And what we're going to do, this is a 2-ply napkin, so if I can find the little bit of napkin that I started, there we go. We are going to take off the bottom layer because we don't need that. So you can leave it on if you want to, but the problem is it might lift. So we're going to do that, and the next thing you will need is a mat which is 5 by 5 inches. This is just ordinary white card, and all of the measurements, there aren't really many. There's just a 6 by 6 and a 5 by 5, but they will be in the description below. And what I've got on the back, just to make it a bit easier, I've put some, if I hold that to the window, I've turned my table around slightly so I'm facing the window, so hopefully it'll make anything that's difficult to see usually a bit easier. But I've got some double-sided tape. Now, if you're going to use napkins, I'd strongly recommend that you use tape and you don't use glue. The ordinary glue stick might work because it's not very runny, but I would strongly recommend you use tape because glue often doesn't work. In fact, the flat glue or the liquid glue probably won't because it'll just absorb your napkin. So unless you're going to use something like a strong glue stick, I would strongly recommend using tape. Now, ordinary double-sided tape will be fine. You don't need the strong red line tape. And I'm just going to lay that down like that. Now, you can do one of two things here. You can either fold that over and tape it down, or you can just cut it off. But I actually find it neater if we fold it down, because if you cut it off, over time it could fray. So I'm just going to use some ordinary sticky tape. So we're just going to very quickly tape that down. So you will, it's on a dispenser, which is the noise you heard just now. And you're probably going to hear that again. So we're just going to very quickly fold that over. This is something I couldn't prepare in advance, because you need to see it being, well, some people might need to see it being, it's actually easier to see it done in real time than seeing things already prepared. So we'll just get this folded. I'm going to put one there because I didn't fold the corner in to make a corner. I'm going to do it in 2 parts. So just one there and one there. So you can, if you want to, what you could do, there's not a lot of leeway, that's the only reason I didn't, but some people like to cut the corners off. It's called mitering the corners, but as I say, there's not much room to do that here. And because napkin paper is so thin, I didn't want to risk ruining it. So I'm just going to, sorry about that, tuck it in and put some tape on it at both ends, just to hold it down and keep it flat. You don't have to worry about this bit because it's not going to show. So we'll just tuck that in rather than try and cut it. and we will fix that into place like that. And what I'm going to do now is over here, I've got some foam tape. So we're just going to very quickly, she says, oh, that's too long, never mind, just take a bit off. So we're just going to take off some strips of foam tape, and I'm going to put one there. We're just going to use 3. 1 in the middle, which is why we didn't need to be too worried about this background bit, because you're not going to see it. And again, I've cut that too big. That's all right, just rip a bit off. This is the Easy Tear foam tape. I get my Easy Tear foam tape from the works. Some others have asked in the past, people have said, where do you get your Easy Tear foam tape from? I get mine from the works. So I've got a 6x6 card base, and all we're going to do is take off the backing tape to our foam tape, and I've just cut my finger now, so that's not quite as simple as it normally would be. So it should come off easily, she says, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. And that's going to come off, and I'm going to sit that roughly, or as much as I can. I'm going to centralise that as much as I can. Can't guarantee it'll be perfect, it probably won't, but that's okay. So if you wanted to, you could go around the edge with an ink, but I'm not going to do that. I don't really like doing that with napkins because, okay, sometimes it looks quite nice when it bleeds in. Because it's so thin, it will probably bleed in, but I don't want it to on this particular pattern. I like the pattern as it is. And just to finish off the card, I found a beautiful, I didn't paint this, it came in a pack some time ago now, with a lovely autumnal rustic landscape, and it says, have a wonderful day. And again, I've got some double-sided tape on the back of there. I'm just going to fold that in a bit. I'm going to turn it over, make sure I've got that the right way around, and I have, excellent. You could put it, it's one of those, because it's non-directional, you could have it that way if you like, but I like my cards to be side folding. I do top folding sometimes, but in general, I prefer them to be side folding. But there's no right or wrong way of doing this, it's personal preference. It's just the way I like things to be. So there we go. I'm going to leave it like that because that on its own I think is really pretty. If you wanted to, you could add some bling in the corners, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it like that. So there you are. Wonderful, quick and easy card made with a napkin and a sentiment. Well, I found this sentiment in my sentiment drawer, but if you don't keep your sentiments from packs, what you could do, you could die cut a sentiment, you could stamp a sentiment. If you're good at calligraphy or you've got lovely neat handwriting, you could handwrite a sentiment. You can do your sentiment however you like, whether you've got one similar to this or others, or you stamp them, die cut them. As I say, do your sentiments however you like to do it, and you'll have a beautiful card, quick and simple. And these cards are good to sell as well. So if you sell your products, having a beautiful background like this will sell because it's different. So there you go, guys. There is our Tuesday project, and I will be back on Friday with another project for you. And in the meantime, have a good week, take care, have fun, and as always, happy crafting. Bye-bye for now.